Okay, morning everybody. So the work that I will be presenting today is that of my MSc student on the photo there, Annika Kiek. She graduated last year and is currently in Japan, so she cannot do this talk. So looking at white root rots, it's caused by the pathogen Rosalinia niacatrix. Unfortunately, the mycologist decided to change the name. So currently the correct scientific name is Dermatophora, which is very difficult. So I'll stick with Rosalinia niacatrix. The pathogen is really a challenge managing because it has a very wide host range of more than 350 host plants, which also makes it difficult to know where the inoculum comes from, but it can often be from native plants growing in an orchard site prior to removal of the native plants. The pathogen is very difficult to control because it can penetrate very deep into the soil. It causes complete rotting of the roots of the tree. As you can see, Annika shaking that tree, so the tree completely dies because its whole root system, including large, thick roots, are destroyed and infected by the pathogen. And this fact that it can infect roots up to a meter deep in the soil is why it's so difficult to control. So currently, the only management strategy that we have is basically containment. So you will see that in orchards where the disease starts emerging, the recommendation is to take out the diseased tree plus two adjacent trees to that diseased tree, just to prevent the pathogen from spreading, because the only way that it can spread is through root-to-root contact. So therefore it is economically important because you cannot replant into the disease sites. So looking at management options and factors promoting disease, the one aspect that I will be talking today is the effect of organic amendments and soil organic matter on disease development. Because in literature, there's very controversial statements made. Some articles say that soils high in organic matter will be conducive, and those are the only ones that the disease is conducive to, whereas others suggest that you may get suppression. So since the application of mulches is so widely used in our apple industry, it was important for us with this project to determine whether the application of just a mulch or a compost will actually promote disease development, or can it suppress disease development. So we were fortunate to have access to 3 orchard blocks on 3 different farms from the Dutoits, where organic amendments has been made either in the form of mulches or a mulch and a compost. So important to note, these 3 orchards had different soil types. We had a silt loam, a loamy sand, and a sandy loam. And when working with soil-borne diseases, it's very important to do trials on more than one site, because this is the big challenge with soil-borne diseases. They never behave the same on different soils. So we took these orchards block that had organic amendments applied for 6 to 9 years, and we sampled soils in the different treatments that we then took to the glasshouse. And just to note also, the type of mulch is different. We had 2 orchards with a straw mulch and 1 with a wood chip mulch. So we then took these soils that we sampled in the orchards to the glasshouse, and we also did carbon and nitrogen analysis. So for our glasshouse seedling assay, we took the soil samples and we planted golden deletion samplings in there, in the soils. There was an uninoculated control, and then we inoculated the treated and untreated soils with a mixture of 4 isolates. And at the bottom, you can just see the type of inoculum that we use. It's a small chopstick that we colonize with the pathogen, and we inoculated the soils twice in order to get good disease pressure. And 148 days post-inoculation, we evaluated the disease severity. As you can see there, it starts with a healthy plant and then progresses to a slightly wilted, complete wilted, and then a dead plant. We also place the roots in a moist chamber to ascertain that the death of the plants was caused by Rosallinia by doing microscopy analysis. And the trial was repeated. We sampled soil in these orchard blocks at 2 different sampling times in 2023, in February and in April. So first, the results from the carbon and nitrogen analysis. So on the graph, you will see the 3 different orchard blocks, and on top also the different soil types and the type of mulch that was applied. So you can see in the silt loam, we had a good response in building carbon to the application of the organic amendments, with both treatments of the organic amendments being significantly higher in carbon than the untreated control. In the second orchard Nooitgedag, we also had a good response, with carbon significantly being increased by the applications. And then in the loamy sand soil, it was not unsurprising, because we know in sandy soils it's difficult to build carbon. There was only a slight significant increase caused by the compost and the mulch. So just a reminder that these are really long-term organic amendment applications. That's why you could get that nice carbon build in the Paardekloof soil. Then looking at the C to N ratio, also all of the organic amendments significantly increased the C to N ratio. So if we now move on to the glasshouse seedling assay, so on the left-hand side graphs, you will see this carbon and C to N graphs that I already showed you. And then on the right-hand side, you will see the disease severity graph. So we estimated this in the area under the disease progress curve, which just means the higher the ODPC is, the more severe the disease was. So from this, you could see that we had a significant suppression of the disease by the compost and the mulch. And that agrees, saying that if you increase your carbon content, that you can suppress the disease. But this was only true for the compost and the mulch, and not for the mulch treatment. So moving on to the second orchard, with this orchard, you can see that we had the opposite of the previous orchard, that actually if you applied these organic amendments, both of them resulted in a significant increase in disease. And then with the last orchard, where we couldn't really change our carbon, we had no significant difference basically in disease development, which again is expected because we couldn't change the carbon content due to our organic amendments. So then to conclude, based on the analysis of our apple seedling bioassay and looking at the carbon content of the soils, in response to the organic amendments, we can say that unfortunately there is no clear association between soil organic amendments, percentage carbon, and disease development, because you had in one soil, you had an increase in disease due to higher carbon, and in the other soil, you had some suppression of the disease. Therefore, since you can either have an increase, decrease, or no effect, our current recommendation is to continue the use of mulches and compost, because we know in apple production, these practices have a good, very good benefits in apple production. And therefore, we do need more research, because this is one of the enigmas of this disease. We don't understand why it is developing in some orchards and not in others. So I think the key in the end may lie in analyzing the soil microbiome that is different in different soils, which most likely happened in these orchards where we were looking, that you could, with carbon in some soils, induce biocontrol, but in other soils, the native biology was just not there to be able to reduce the disease. And with that, I would like to thank Hardgrove for the funding and the Du Toits for providing us with the trial sites. and statistical analysis by Marita and Trevor that made all of the seedlings for us. Thank you.